Maroba Maduma is the communications guy at SA Taxi, which funds about 12-13% of all of taxis on South Africa's roads. About 250,000 taxis traverse South Africa on a daily basis, taking 15 million people to and from work every day. If the industry did not exist, the economy would collapse. People simply wouldn't be able to get to work. SA Taxi funds about 30,000 taxis in South Africa. You get, what, 4,500 applications from wannabe taxi owners every single month. What percentage of those loan applications do you approve?
Just approval, but just over 40% of those, of which not everybody can put up a deposit. So on average, every month, there's about 700 new taxi owners on the road.
Okay, so but that's a very high approval rate. I mean, I think 1 out of 5 people who go into Truworths are rejected for a Truworths account because people want to look good. But to actually create a business and run an industry, you are rejecting 6 out of 10 people who come through your door. I mean, is that good business?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the type of customer that we service is seen by the big banks, as you previously said, as a high-risk customer. So we think 40% approval is not bad at all. And what we also have noticed is because we understand through our IP which routes are more profitable, which areas to be looking at, and basically who should we be dealing with. And through our relationship as well with the taxi industry, we basically have a good insight and good conversations that allow us to understand where not to go and where to go. So 40%, just over 40% for us is very good business.
Who is your customer? Is it a guy who has just been laid off from his job and has some money? See good noise coming through from the workshop?
They heard you.
Is it a guy who's just been laid off from his job and has got some capital and decides he wants to go into a business for himself? Is it an existing taxi owner who's got a fleet of 10 and wants to have 11? Who's the customer?
So we have a lot of repeat customers. So guys who are already in the industry who want to either replenish their fleet or increase their fleet. We also have a lot of taxi drivers who have their own stock files where they save up for the deposits so that they can be able to get into the taxi industry as owners. And you do have some people who are very new to the industry who then also approach the taxi associations, and once they get a permit to be able to operate on that route, will then come and apply with us. But
what's the best rate? If I came to you and I said, I would like to own a taxi, what sort of terms would I get, assuming that I have a squeaky clean credit record, that I come dressed in a smart suit, whatever the requirements are? But what's the best deal that you will offer somebody?
If you come in a suit, I might just think you can't own a taxi. But the guys tend to be more professional in a suit. The best rate at the moment that we give at SA Taxi, we start from about 15.75%. That's for customers who are risk grade 11 and 10.
So that's a prime plus 6. I mean, prime plus 6 is what you're doing.
Essentially, but I mean, again, we're looking at a risk grade 10, risk grade 11 customer. This is a guy whose empirical score is not necessarily the squeakiest clean, and because of how our funding structures are set up and the cost of our funding and such, we can't go any lower than that.
Where does SA Taxi get the money from to then lend on? Because you're borrowing money at prime plus something, or maybe if you're lucky, prime minus something. You're going into the capital markets, you're getting that money, you're then lending it on at a margin.
So we have a very diversified funding model where we go locally and internationally. So we from banks to insurers, as well as DFIs, who not only finance for just a commercial viability, but also want to see the impact created on a society through that. So one of the things that we do offer these funders is an opportunity for them to come and see. Because again, like you said yourself, the perception of the industry is what it is, and people don't necessarily always just immediately want to jump in. But through education, through giving the guys an understanding, we bring them over here. We show them exactly what the taxis look like. We explain to them how the industry works. We introduce them to some of the owners and some of the associations, some of the executives, so they get a better understanding of actually how this industry really runs. And through that, they see the impact it causes. They understand that without this industry, as you rightfully said, if we don't finance this industry, people don't go to work, economy stops moving.
How do you protect your investment though? Because here you're lending me money at prime plus 6, but I'm the one who's got the vehicle. If I disappear into the sunset and start doing beach trips, I don't know, along the Vilanculos coastline, rather than doing an Alex Santon route, for example, which we've agreed to, how do you protect your investment?
So all our vehicles have tracking devices on them. So we are able to track the vehicle, know exactly where it is using telematics data. But again, this data is not only used to track the vehicles just so from a monitoring perspective, we also share that data to be able to better advise the owner of the behavior of the driver and the behavior of the vehicle and how to best run his business based on that behavior.
So you can tell whether one vehicle is being driven erratically, whether there are bumps as vehicles launch onto pavements, for example, or hit more potholes than average, for example, on particular routes. You're able then to share that information with the taxi owner,
yes,
who can then, if they choose to, take remedial action with the drivers.
Absolutely. So this is only on the vehicles obviously that are on our fleet. We can tell, we have the data, telematics data, to be able to tell all of those things. When harsh braking occurs, when the driver is most likely to be tired because of the behavioral data that we've collected, and we do share this information. What we've seen is with the bigger fleet owners, it has shifted behavior. But what we've done is we've gone a step further, and we've come up with SA Taxi Rewards, which is a reward program where we actually now start rewarding and incentivizing better driving behavior. But not just that, we also have that we share that telematics data and the behavior with them so that the guys can, earn a bit more and keep their vehicles safer on the road, commuters then being safer as well.
It's like, I suppose, vitality for taxis.
It's vital for taxis.
It's vital for taxis. If it is so vital for taxis and it works within a private sector environment, is this not something that could be introduced? Department of Transport could make it mandatory, perhaps, for taxi owners to put this sort of telematics equipment into taxis. If you want a license to operate a taxi in South Africa, you have to subject yourself to a device which goes into the taxi, which the state could fund, and it could then monitor driver behavior and do punitive action where necessary against owners if taxis behave badly. That's a thought. It's not going to be a popular thought, but let's explore that in a moment.